right. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Time for Three Guys Before the Game. This is an emergency podcast. We did not expect to be in studio so soon. We got it in Monday, and obviously we sat here and we talked about just the sadness of not getting to the NCAA tournament. Now we bounce back just a couple of days later, and now West Virginia is without a head basketball coach. So Darian DeVries is gone, one and out. On this particular podcast, we will give you just our initial thoughts on that. Then we will come back in again tomorrow and give you more details. Ren Baker is going to have a press conference later today, and he'll give you some more specifics. So, less than a year away from hiring Darian DeVries. In fact, it's the 19th of March today, which means his hire date was the 24th. So literally, like just almost a year. The search is on again, and it would not be crazy to me if on March 24th of 25, West Virginia has another head coach. It could happen on the very same day. All right, the comments are coming up from Hoppy and Brad. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They won't take no for an answer. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Get a Gomart rewards card. Go to gomart.com for details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's Biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. So, I don't know. We've done maybe a couple of 2-3 emergency podcasts in our 8 years, and they happen when coaches leave, when coaches come, and
getting more frequent.
Yeah, they are. They certainly are. So what we're going to do is different in the sense that we're gonna riff, and then that's it, and we'll come back tomorrow and we'll do textual healing. And we almost blew up the text line.
I bet.
Turned on the computer today.
I believe it,
and it said like, "Whoa!" So.
Which is why we're doing it tomorrow, because we'll give some time for the therapy portion of this and the venting portion of this, which needs to happen. We understand, so we'll have some long form of that tomorrow.
Correct. Okay. So what has happened? Obviously, DeVries departs. His introductory press conference in Indiana is going on today. What is the significance of it all? Well, I'll tell you this. This is what has happened in the history of WVU basketball. West Virginia's had 23 coaches. And with Darren's departure, you now have 6 that have stayed for just 1 year. That includes Josh Eilert. So it's only happened prior to this on 4 other occasions. The last time it happened, 1945, 80 years ago, John Brickles went one and done.
I was going to say, that actually to me sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it does.
I would have thought there would be less than that, but if you turn back the clock, different era, different time, go ahead.
Yeah, that's back when everything was in black and white. Like, these guys, there's wars going on, and there's stuff going on. They just won and done.
And they got an $812 stipend to be the coach, so it was a different deal.
But the big number is 4 coaches in 4 years.
Right. That's big, but my point is, this has not happened at WVU in 80 years. Where you got Dom Plitzoweited.
I was going to say, on the men's side, it hasn't happened.
This becomes the Dom Plitzoweited.
Plitzoweited is a verb now.
Yeah, you Pitznoggled or you get Plitzoweited. So, absolute gazillion different emotions that go on when something like this happens. So, again, we don't rehearse, as you probably can tell. Fire away, boys. What do you got?
Well, if I may, I thought about this a lot, and I came up with 3 things. I came up with disappointment. I came up with loyalty and opportunity. Let me explain. Is that college fandom is rooted to a large degree in loyalty. And because of loyalty, fans, and we'll just talk about West Virginia fans, they go to games, they buy tickets, they go to games, they listen on the radio, they watch it on TV, they buy swag. In some cases, they contribute to the athletic department. There's a loyalty factor. And we even take pledges to it. We sing the alma mater, sing to thee, my alma mater, everlasting through the years, lasting through the years. With victorious teams, we sing country roads, take me home to the place I belong. All of that is about a sense of place and a sense of loyalty. But with the changing landscape of college athletics, there comes greater opportunity. Started with coaches and the big money they were making, and now with players who are essentially free agents. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we've talked about that. Players should be compensated for the value they provide. But now it's getting different. It used to be loyalty was up here and opportunity was here. Now opportunity, I think, is trumping loyalty in terms of players and coaches. And with Coach DeVries, he said this is an opportunity to coach at a very specific place. So that's the world in which we live now. So how do you cope with this? Well, because fans have emotional connections, and they develop emotional connections with players and with coaches. And fans have to understand that these relationships are purely transactional. And if you expect anything more, you're going to be constantly disappointed. So that's where we are. I know fans are disappointed. I'm disappointed. I think you guys are as well. But this is the new world, and if you expect the same level of loyalty back from players and coaches that you are demonstrating through your behavior, you're going to be constantly disappointed and or in a state of anxiety because of the fear of what's going to happen.
All right. El Senator?
Stunned. Stunned is all I can say here. I said from the very beginning before, what was the date Darren was announced?
24 March.
So we had podcasts leading up to that, and I said from before he was even hired, this was an awesome fit. This was a great fit. After spending nearly every day with the guy for the last however many months, and I've said it many times on the show, this is an elite basketball coach. West Virginia had an elite basketball coach that was a really good fit, and I think this program was going places. I really do. And you saw what could happen in a one-year turnaround, even without all the parts or pieces in place. I did not think this was somebody that was here for a year. Just did not. It had been 2 jobs in 24-ish years, right? 20 total at Creighton, 3 as a GA, 17 as an assistant, 6 at Drake, which is maybe more stunning. You don't stay 6 years at Drake, all due respect to Drake, when you have the success that he had. So to be that patient and stay for those opportunities and then finally get your crack as a head coach at a Power 4 level, I did not think he was going. There was a lot of talk about the Iowa job for months, even before he took it. We had conversations about that. I never believed Iowa was where he was going to end up. I thought that was pretty clear from the beginning. So all of that social media traffic, and man, Iowa's got some accounts that missed it horribly. Not even remotely close. But I did not think the Indiana thing was the one we would be coming in here having an emergency podcast. In fact, I didn't think there would be an emergency podcast. I thought we'd be in here on Thursday, regularly scheduled, saying, okay, you're moving forward, and we'd have conversations about who West Virginia was pulling in via the portal. I really thought that's where we would land for a lot of different reasons that we can get into. I did not think we'd be having this press conference 1 year later talking about the Indiana job. And I can speculate, we will here in a minute, on why that is the case, but I just simply am left stunned by this.
Yeah. As you said, I think disappointment is one of many words that you can use. I agree with you. I think he is as good of a coach as I've ever seen. And what he did this year was off the chart good. I truly believe that he did not think when he got here on March 24th of last year that this also would be a one and done.
Agreed.
I truly believe he thought he would come in for the long haul. And I think that when the way that these dominoes fall and all of a sudden this Indiana job presents itself, then it becomes really, really attractive because, as you said, this is a transactional business not only today in emotion, this is a transactional business in regard to dollars. And Indiana's ability, because of the dollars that it has, becomes a job in which a coach, whomever it is, can go in there nowadays in the world we're about to get into with the rev share, and they will go and you will not want for anything. You will not want for anything. Now, that's not to say that West Virginia wasn't positioned and has been over the last several months getting everything in line to make sure that you could go to market and get what you need. But when you go to this particular job, because they are so thirsty to win, and I'll tell you why they're so thirsty to win, because in their world of where they think they belong in college basketball, it's been really dry.
Yeah.
It's been really, really dry.
For a long time.
And so from a leverage and negotiation standpoint, Darian DeVries can go in and he can call his shot. And from what I understand, it's going to be $5 million a year, and then obviously whatever he needs. But the reality of it is they are thirsting so bad to win that they were ready to do whatever it took. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
So in the last 25 seasons of college basketball, last 25 years, from 2000 to 2001 season up until this season, okay? NCAA appearances in the last 25 years, Indiana, 9. And their average seed when they went into the tournament was 6.3. West Virginia, in the last same period of time, the last 25 seasons, NCAA appearances, 12. Average West Virginia seed, 5.1. They haven't won a natty since 87.
Wow.
You going to do Final Fours and Sweet 16s?
Final Fours and Sweet.
Because you've had more success at West Virginia than Indiana. So here, okay, we'll go finish and then I'll jump in.
my point is twofold. One, the last quarter century has shown that you can get it done at West Virginia. You can put yourself into that world of the NCAA tournament and you can have success. That's one thing. And if you didn't get screwed this year, that would have been 13 years out of the last 25 seasons that you were in the NCAA tournament. And then on the other side, for Indiana, it shows like they've been missing, and they need to fix it. And no matter what it took, they were going to go get someone, and whatever it's going to be, we're going to go get this guy. They hit a home run. I don't think he goes, if he went to Iowa, I'd be more like, why are you doing that? Mm-hmm. Indiana is a top 10. They're 10th all-time in victories. They've got 5 national championships. Their perception may be better than their current reality, but I think Darren thinks that he can go back there and get that thing redone. However, this is a different world. It's an 18-team Big Ten. You are going to Washington. You are going to Oregon. You are going to USC. You are going to UCLA. You are going to Rutgers, right? So, it's a different deal, man, and it's a lot of teams. So, best of luck. He's extremely good, but this is going to be hard, and it's going to be a pressure cooker for him, perception-wise. That's a different world. That's a different space.
So, a couple things, and I think I was going to bring up the numbers of the jobs too, but I always hesitate to speak on somebody's behalf, but I'm going to try and speak a little bit here, then we'll move it forward to what's coming. I think in this situation, as I've tried to sit back and think, all right, why is he at Indiana? And I think you said it best there. There's a perception of Indiana from certain people of a certain age from a certain area that is different than what the overall perception is. And I think I can speak to this because we're of similar age and from the same place. If you're 50 plus years old and you grew up in the Midwest, Indiana does sit in a different place in your mind than for a lot of other people. And I think if you're Darren and you're looking at yourself and you're self-aware, enough to know this, you're thinking, I'm never going to be the coach. I'm not going to coach at UCLA. I'm not going to coach at Kentucky. I'm not going to coach at Carolina. And I'm not from Texas, so I'm not going to coach at the University of Texas. So a lot of the unlimited resource jobs in basketball are not even on the radar because it's not going to be a fit and you're not going to go get them. So if I'm trying to think of why he makes this move, to me, this is not about what was wrong with West Virginia. It's just simply not. All the stuff you're going to hear about, they didn't like it here and they had to get that. That's not right. I've had enough conversations with him to know that's not true. And I know the support was there and the conversations were there and the feeling that he could get what he needed to win was there. This to me is not at all about what West Virginia had, offered, or will have. This is about a guy that viewed that job as one of the crown jewels in college basketball that he could go get. And of that certain age, those opportunities may not come around again. And I think that's where this landed. I don't think this is running from something. It seems to be running to something. And listen, I know that probably makes nobody listening to this feel any better, but I think that's just the situation we're in. Moving forward, this particular job, and I said this when we went through the search last year before Darren was identified, this is a really good job. This West Virginia job is really good. There is support. There is resources. There are a ton of people that care about it, all of those things. But here's what it also is, as outlined by those numbers you just gave, and I will repeat what I said 1 year ago. This is a program that has won with a bunch of different coaches, a bunch of different styles in a bunch of different leagues. Gail Catlett, a Sweet 16, John Beeline, an Elite Eight, a whisker from a Final Four, Hugs to a Final Four, and as you said, without getting absolutely screwed by the committee, you were in the tournament again with another coach with a depleted roster, battling injuries again. This program, not team, this program has won through all kinds of different coaches, and I think it will again because it is a good program. There is a lot of good. This isn't a time for West Virginia fans and West Virginians to go, oh, woe is us. What's wrong with us? This isn't a what's wrong with us. This, in my opinion, is a guy that saw a job that he valued as one of the top, if not top jobs in the country, and he went to get it. And the timing sucked, and the timing was awful, and I guarantee there's a big part of him that thinks that as well. But this is not about West Virginia having an issue. I think this is a really, really good basketball job.
Brad, I think you're exactly right. And WVU did not, a couple of things that we know from talking to various sources, WVU did not get a chance either to counter proposal. So this wasn't, oh, they're offering me this, what can you do? So it was, and that tells you a couple of things. One is that he really saw the Indiana job, again, not to speak for him, but he really saw that as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Okay, number one. Number two is that WVU, they were never that worried about Iowa because West Virginia is, they didn't think that Iowa was at best a lateral move for him. Indiana, they had concerns about. But they thought that he was not in the top 2 or 3 of what Indiana was looking for. Now, where he was, we don't know. I mean, he ended up number one guy. But so they had a fear like, uh-oh. Like, we can compete with Iowa, but if Indiana comes in, we got a problem.
If Indiana comes in and the people that are the first picks for Indiana say no, then you got a problem.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right.
Yeah, but we don't know how many, if any, were ahead of him.
Well, you know Scott Drew, you know Brad Stevens, you know they took their shots, several guys.
Here's where I give Indiana credit, though. The fact that they interviewed Ben McCollum and Darian DeVries shows me there was a shift within the Indiana power structure that they finally said, you know what, we got to go get a basketball coach, somebody that knows how to coach the game. All due respect to Mike Woodson. That team was lost. We looked at them down in the Bahamas. They were lost, and that wasn't a good hire. That just wasn't a good hire. The hope from a West Virginia perspective, my perspective, was that someone would overrule in Indiana and go, no, we got to get somebody else in here. And they would miss on what are two really good coaches in Ben McCollum and Darian DeVries. The fact that they interviewed McCollum as well, when I heard that early on, I thought, this isn't good because someone over there has finally figured out what they're doing. They know they've got to get the basketball job right. Reportedly, they interviewed McCollum twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it was there. I mean, this to me has some similarities to how Rich Rodriguez got back to West Virginia. I mean, Rich was not number one on the list when they started it all. But you just have to hang in there, and things happen, and then your time comes. Pat Kelsey was not the number one pick at Louisville last year, but he just kind of hung in there, and then guess what? It can work really well if you're not number one, if you're not the first pick. It just needs to be at the right time.
Here's the other thing, too, that I've said many times, and I think it's easier in basketball than football. One, there's more to draw from. There are a ton of good basketball coaches out there. There are really good basketball coaches that exist, and frankly, a lot of them don't exist at the Power 4 level. They're in other spots other than that, and we'll see that here in the coming days. We'll see that. We have seen that. The fact that you landed on DeVries the first time. Ben McCollum's a name you're going to hear a lot, right? Ironic that he's an Iowa native and he's sitting at Drake, but worked with Ren Baker while winning 4 national titles at Division II Northwest Missouri State. That's a name you're going to hear a lot. Jared Calhoun's a guy, right? You're going to hear that name a lot. We know that from his time here at West Virginia, right down the road at Fairmont State. Youngstown State success, goes on and has an NCAA tournament year at Utah State. There are a lot of good coaches out there.
You know, it's interesting. If you do go the Drake route, be like, he would have been there 1 year. I mean, it just trickles down, right?
Can't make it up.
Like Hugs was at Kansas State 1 year. I mean, of course, that's a little bit different because he was coming home. But look, wherever he was in the pecking order at Indiana, he got the job because I think he's the best guy for the job. We saw all year this guy's an outstanding coach. You know what? From an Indiana perspective, what a great hire, a good fit. A great hire.
Listen, guys, they did make a great hire, and part of the disappointment and the frustration and the anger on the West Virginia side is because you had a great one. You had a great one. So I understand all of the emotions. Quite frankly, I've gone through them, right? I've gone through them. I thought coming in here Monday was going to be our worst day of the week. Getting absolutely just screwed by the committee. And then this happened. So I get it. I understand that this is unbelievably frustrating. From a guy you thought was a fit and going to be here a long time and did a tremendous job. I was fired up to see where the future went here.
So was I. So is everyone.
Sure.
Okay. So that's why I think, going back to my original point, there's disappointment, and you just because fans, whether they're just listening to you guys on the radio or making big contributions, they're invested. They are vested
Absolutely.
in what goes on. Right?
Massive emotional investment.
And this team encouraged investment.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Because the way they played and the way this guy coached. So you weren't certain, and then you okay, here we go. So the end of this year, even though it was disappointing with not getting into the tournament, getting shafted on the tournament, was okay, that's all right, because we'll get guys. And you're like, okay, got to start over, got to get all new team. An entirely new team and a new coach.
Yeah, entirely new team. And again, I'll say the same things I said last year. There's never been a better time to have to remake your entire roster. So there you go. Remake the entire roster. The good news, you just went through this search. A lot of the people you were interested in last year, a lot of the stuff you pulled up if you're Ren Baker still exists. You cross a couple names off that have gone to other jobs, and you move forward and you go hire another good coach, and you move forward.
Let me say a couple of things that for some, it's not going to change your belief. That's fine, because some people have ideas or perceptions, and that's totally good, right? There's still people out there that strongly believe that Rich Rod threw the pit game, right? You're never going to change anyone.
He didn't.
You're never going to change anyone from that. But let me just say this: as again, we'll get to the text tomorrow, but there a couple of things. So Brad and I, obviously, we're with these guys for the last several months, and in every conversation that we're talking about with them, it's about, okay, how are we going to build this roster for next year? Okay, we need to keep this guy and this guy. We can go get this guy. We're already starting to talk about portal guys. This guy's going to come out. We're going to get this guy. So this was not a 2 months ago, Darian DeVries said, I'm going to go to Indiana. That was not it. That was not it. As I said, I think the thing continued to pair itself out at Indiana among candidates, and then all of a sudden it did become a possibility. So that is one. 1A is, I get a lot of texts, people saying they shut Tucker DeVries down this year because they knew that they would be leaving and he would just take him with them. Come on, man. Absolutely not the case. So when he got hurt with his shoulder, he couldn't shoot the ball. He was hurting when he shot the ball. And they thought that injury the injury was better than they thought when they went in there and cut it.
But it did require surgery.
It required surgery. He went and had surgery. And so that also was just not the case at all. I mean, we were talking about guys that would be coming this off season to join Tucker. They had already had that all figured out. So that is, and again, I'm not going to convince you any different. But if you might be on the fence on that perception, that wasn't the case.
That was an agonizing decision to have to shut him down because of the surgery. Agonizing for all of them involved. And you're right. If you believe in the other stuff, had those conversations, sat there with him. That was an agonizing decision.
Yeah. Tony, you talked about appropriately that the whole new roster and the guys they would want to bring in on the portal, that's all out the window now. But every coach is doing the same thing. So whoever you hire presumably has already been working too, because they were expecting to coach the next year wherever they were or someplace. And so they have guys hopefully lined up, right?
Yeah, but you're in the same doggone situation that you were last year. If Darren was hired March 24th of last year, a lot of these guys, like you would be much better off if you had everything positioned right now and ready to go into attack mode. So that's what bums you out, unless, whomever you're bringing is going to bring a posse with them. Ben McCullum brought 4 of his guys from Northwestern Missouri State to Drake, and that was the nucleus of that team. So whomever it is, you just hope. Chester Frazier brought Sincere Harris and Amani Hansberry. And, Javon Small's relationship from Oklahoma State got him here. So you just figure out who the pieces are.
They'll be guys. A lot of guys available.
Only guy standing is the athletic trainer, Randy Metter.
Randy Metter is a constant.
Everyone else, for the second year in a row, which is just mind-numbing. Think about this, to your point, and we use this a lot. It's never as bad as you think. It's never as good as you think. Here's the reality of it, and you pointed it out. West Virginia's last 3 coaches now, if you take Josh out as an interim, were John Beilein, Bob Huggins, and Darian DeVries.
Pretty good lineup.
That's a heck of a threesome right there. You were hitting it.
Elite level coaches.
Yeah.
Right? And so why is that going to stop? You got a basketball guy in Ren Baker who is just intimately so well versed. Ren Baker does coaching searches when he doesn't have to do coaching searches for basketball. I mean, he is on the phone constantly in that gossip world of, hey, what's this guy doing? What's this guy doing? What's going on here? What's going on? He is more networked than network. So to him, we can get into Ren's deal in a second. Not that he likes this, but he is perfectly ready to do this. Big picture, however, think about this. No athletic director in WVU history has been put on the spot as much as Ren Baker has since he got here.
No question.
Right? When he was hired, it was to evaluate what was going to go on in football. And that became the least of his worries because basketball blows up. Dom Plitzawhite, 1 outs. Randy Mazey departs, right? Throw a volleyball coach in there. Throw in the search for Darian DeVries. You follow me?
Hold on. Then football did come in.
Go out and do that. I mean.
By the way, raise $20 million.
Yes. Raise $20 million and get ready for the new world of sports.
It's a good point. This isn't an AD that has to go back and go, you know what, how do you do the coaching search thing? I haven't done that. What? Can I call somebody? What am I supposed to do here?
He can do it from memory. He doesn't even need to check his spreadsheet.
He'd
do it
be
from
the
memory.
opposite. I think if there wasn't a coaching search, he'd get antsy.
Yeah, really. You got to replace somebody.
So, and again,
trust me, if you asked him today, he'd say, no, I'm good. I don't need one.
I know. There is some crossover, though, to what you just went through a year ago.
Yes.
A lot of the work that you put in a year ago speeds up your ability today, and I'm sure that's what we'll hear him say today is their position, they're ready, he has a list, he's already been making calls, and we're going, and we'll be back with you in a couple days.
Yeah, his phone's getting blowed up by agents right now, and he's constantly on the prowl. So, again, I think it's going to be sooner than later, and you just jump in, man.
You know what's interesting? I mean, we had a show this week about the NCAA snub, and then, Marcy came out with the news conference, et cetera, et cetera. That is now so far in the distance. That is so irrelevant now.
News cycle's moving fast this week, Hop.
Move very fast.
Yeah.
You retired guys probably struggle with how fast this moves, isn't it?
It is. I try to keep up, man.
Man, you can't. I
try to keep up.
You didn't even. You didn't get over to Tudor's Biscuit World and sit in that corner with all those guys in the corner drinking coffee, talking about. You haven't had enough time to talk about it.
I tell you what. I didn't. I like Brad. I mean, I hoped, and I did not think he was going to leave. And I got some. And people asked me, and I said I didn't think he was going to leave. And then I got texts like, "Oh, you were wrong," and I said, "Yeah, I was."
Mm-hmm. Here's what I've said.
I was.
Same.
I get a bunch of phone calls, and this is what I've been telling people since yesterday. This is the only thing I know, that I don't know anything.
The known unknowns or the unknown
The only
unknowns?
thing I know nowadays is that I don't know anything because I, too, thought that we'd sidestep Iowa, he'd sign the contract extension, and everything would be hunky-dory, and we'd be out there just crushing it in the portal, bringing in guys, and off you go.
Brad, I want to go back to a point you made.
The Iowa thing's not even a sidestep. That was never in play. Just for those
I'm
listening.
saying the conversation was.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying for some folks that were writing to the contrary, never in play.
That, Brad, something you talked about, that and the generational appeal of Indiana. I thought you made a great point there, is that, yeah, you can look at the numbers and go, Indiana the last 20 years, just hasn't been the Indiana of the Bob Knight area. But as you said, if you grew up in the Midwest and you followed basketball, where was Indiana? at the peak, right? So you do understand, and if you're a coach like DeVries, anybody at that level thinks, in DeVries' case it's true, that they're really good and they can win if they just have the resources necessary to win. So I'm sure, again, don't want to speak for him, but it's natural to think that a guy who's a very good coach and knows that he can win and has an opportunity at a place that is historic thinks, here we go. You know, I mean, I can see his thinking, right?
Yeah, and that, in my opinion, is what this is. And I think that's what I want to be clear about. This is not a getting away from West Virginia. It's just not that. Now, I don't know if that makes anybody feel any better. You're still out looking for a coach, and you lost one that was really good. But I think that's what we're dealing with in this situation. I
mean, it's almost like when Bob Huggins left Kansas State after 1 year, and you go, okay. I mean, Kansas State probably had to say, disappointed, but okay, I get it. So.
All right. That's an emergency podcast.
We need a red light or something.
Yeah, we can get that.
We're not back for a while doing an emergency podcast.
We got an unlimited. Yeah, let's stop doing emergency podcasts. Like, we don't need emergency news.
We react to the news though. Yeah. So news happens, we got to react.
All right, so we're good to go again tomorrow.
What time? Because
I don't know. We'll see. You got nowhere
What's
to
the matter to you? At any point during the day, you should just
You know what he
say
told
yes.
me? You know what he told me earlier? He said, I got to go down to Charleston for the state tournament. I said, when's your first game down there? He said, Saturday. I said, you going to go down? I said, is it a bowl game? I mean, what the hell are we doing?
Well, I side with him now. I get it.
But thank you.
I understand.
Thank you. I'm not like Tony is such a pro like show. Like, what time's the game? Okay, I'll be there.
Let me just tell you something. You know where you're going to get there? When
What?
we tell you can go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll get some details.
Tomorrow morning?
We'll see.
TBD.
Three Guys brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They won't take no for an answer. By Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart, get a Gomart Rewards card. Go to gomart.com for details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World, start your day the homemade way. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. Special thanks to our producer, Mr. Jake, for coming in. Emergency Pod is over. We're back again tomorrow. We'll break down Ren Baker's comments. Where does it lead West Virginia on its search? That and more. Probably do some WVU women's basketball. Well, we still won't know who they play, will we? They play tomorrow.
We'll get into your text, too.
Yeah, We'll do textual healing. We can go for about 9 days. We'll do a telethon. All right, see ya.